Back here on First Things First. Sarah Kustok is here. Hey, Sarah.
Good to see you guys.
Great to see you.
Boy, you've been busy. You've been all over, everywhere.
Hey, I'm trying. I'm trying to be like you guys.
Oh, yeah.
You've been all over. I see you guys have a lot at Barclays Center.
We try. We try. I had to go over there and holler at some people.
Okay. Let's talk about Russell Westbrook, please.
Kustok, Russell Westbrook. You know, there was a time not long ago we lauded the idea of averaging a triple-double for the season, and then Russ did it. And then Russ did it again. And with a triple-double last night and a win over the T-Wolves, he's now averaged a triple-double for the third year in a row. Why is it not bigger news? Because he's made the once impossible feat seem routine. Sarah, I'll start with you. Is Russell Westbrook unappreciated?
Yes.
Ooh.
Without a doubt, I think that he is. And we talk so much about triple-doubles and what he's done, which is a historic feat, and we did throughout the course of him doing it for the first season. Now it's in, again, for these last two seasons. I think more than that, more than the number. We focus so much about the numbers or the percentages Russ is shooting or how it is that he's impacting game. He, to me, when you sit courtside and watch him play, watch how relentless that he is, what he's been able to do throughout the course of his career, and especially in a place like Oklahoma City, I give him credit for staying with that organization, with that franchise throughout the duration of his career and what he's done for that place. And so, yeah, I think he's a guy that, you know, maybe the triple-doubles are something that we're changing our perception of what that means, given the pace of play, given the numbers that are being put up right now. But I think, to me, it transcends triple-doubles. It transcends just those type of numbers, and the type of player and impact that he's had within this league and within that organization is something that he should really be credited for.
So many of the things we claim to miss about today's athlete, to yearn for about the athletes of yesteryear: loyalty, relentlessness, showing up to work every single night. He checks all those boxes, and yet we pick apart the things in his game he can't do. He's not a good shooter. This year he's become a bad free throw shooter out of nowhere, seemingly after being in the mid-80s his MVP year, he's now in the mid-60s. Like, so we find the things that he's not great at. He's not LeBron, and he's not Harden, and he's not Giannis, and he's not Steph, so he sucks. Listen, there's 7 guys in the league that everyone agrees are the best 7 players in basketball, and then there's a group of guys, Russ, Kyrie, Dame, Paul George, in that second tier of superstar, and he's the only one that when we talk about him, it is so often on the negatives. There are things Damian Lillard doesn't do well. There's things Paul George doesn't do well, things Kyrie doesn't do well, yet none of them get half the scrutiny Russell Westbrook does.
And the reason why, we like those other guys. People don't like Russ. When you start to separate it, people don't like him. They don't like his style. They don't like his demeanor. It seems like he's always angry. So I'm not trying to justify with people, but I'm looking at it in this era of basketball where we have LeBron playing, KD playing, Steph playing, and they're playing at a high level. Harden's game is unappreciated. So to me, all the guys who have not won championships, because I'm going to tell you what people are in love with. If you're a champion and if you are winning. In the last 2 years since KD left, and you also get a backlash from KD. He forced KD to leave. People like KD more than they like Russ, but in 2 seasons without, they've only won 3 playoff wins. Not series, 3 games that they have won the last 2 years since KD left. So, yes, during the regular season, he would have helped himself if he had some individual success in the postseason. He got some points this year when Paul George decides to sign with them and how he defers to Paul George for at least the first half of the season. So I would just say in this era where we have those great players and we got great point guard play, Damian Lillard, people like him more. They don't criticize his game. They like him more than they like Russ. Steph Curry and Kyrie, both of them are champions. They don't get criticized as much. So Russ got some numbers, but he hadn't won. Hadn't won since KD left, and him being angry, his overall demeanor, I'm sure it put some people off. Like, man, you're good. Like, why are you so upset and angry?
Well, but that anger is what drives him. That he is the player that he is because that is what motivates him to play the way he does.
Being a player and what kind of person you are, if you can't transition, I don't think people see the transition.
I will say, though, KD, we pointed so often, I like the point that you bring up about people not liking him, we had pointed to, well, Kevin Durant doesn't want to play with him. Guys don't want to play with him. Guys don't enjoy playing with him. Every teammate that he has had, aside from Kevin Durant, will rave about playing with Russell Westbrook.
Well, Paul George stayed in Oklahoma City. And it decided to play with Russell Westbrook.
That narrative got set when we also misunderstood who Kevin Durant was.
Yeah.
Everyone, think about who we thought Kevin Durant was before he went to Golden State. Just this affable, likable, easygoing guy. And then now we see who Kevin Durant would tell Chris Broussard, no, this is the real me. That was the act back then. And it's like, okay, Kevin Durant is a little mercurial, maybe a little hard to figure out. And Kevin Durant, if he leaves Golden State this summer, nobody's going to be like, oh, that's an indictment on Steph. He didn't want to play with Steph. So I just think you're right, see, that Russ has a natural irritability that extends to the post-game press conference, right? That extends, he has his hair up a lot. He doesn't let you in. We talked about in the 2020 game, after the game, when he talked about Nipsey Hussle, one of the things you liked was he actually let you in. You know what I mean? He wasn't as guarded. You got to see an idea of who he was, and I'm sure that could help his likability. But when we're talking about these guys as athletes, about how good they are, your likability shouldn't play into it so much.
It has a lot to do with it, though. The reason why people like Jordan more than they like LeBron is because they I like Mike a little bit more. When you forget away from the basketball, anytime you are picking your favorite athlete, man, do I like that guy has something to do with it. It's hard to impossible for people to judge people and be like, I'm just going to leave his skills, his whole personality. I'm not going to make. No, it's all part of it. Magic Johnson, there's a reason why he's one of the top 5 all. It's not because of his basketball skills. It's because his smile, and people loved Magic Johnson. So your personality, it gets involved. If Jerry Rice had a more outgoing personality when he played, he would be the greatest football player that people had ever seen. But, man, he wasn't communicating to other people. People did not know them, and they couldn't touch him. Joe Montana, likable, smiling, interview.
In the basketball world, Kareem's the guy that his legacy takes the biggest hit because he wasn't liked by the media during his
But to me, that's the answer to the question. Underappreciated. Do we not appreciate him because of the way we feel about his personality or his disposition when he's dealing with a lot of the media?
Does that all change if they suddenly start winning? Like, will we change the way we feel about Russ? I mean, this team, clearly, he's the heartbeat of the team. They live and die by Russ. If they start winning or they win 8 playoff series finally,
it would do a 180 because we're about winning. Like, we're about winning championships. And he's in an era where other guys, besides Damian Lillard, Kyrie has won. Steph, a multiple winner. Chris Paul, we don't talk about him. He's getting a little older, but he hadn't won. So, yes, Harden, amazing numbers, 36 points, but hadn't won. So you are put in a different category in the NBA when you win, and we cannot think that Russ is not in that category, and winning wouldn't cure some of those things.
And I don't think he should be in that category. I think there is that, you said the tiers of players, and I do think the narrative would change if he were to win. But he also, you look at this Oklahoma City team, he still has that opportunity to do that. You can't tell me that Houston wouldn't be excited or not be excited to play a team like Oklahoma City. Denver wouldn't be excited to play a team like Oklahoma City. So that is still on the table.
And I would feel better about this if it was across the board guys that hadn't won were treated like Russ. But Embiid, Giannis, you mentioned Harden. People don't like Harden's style, so some people criticize him. There's a lot of guys that haven't won that we elevate. There's Anthony Davis. Like, there's a lot of guys who have not won that we elevate to a level.
You only elevate people. Why? Why you elevate them?
Why?
Joel Embiid, we like him.
Oh, okay. All right. And Giannis, because we like him. So
Anthony Davis, he doesn't say anything. We like him.
Either win or be likable. And if you're not checking either box, then we're going to tear you down. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
That's why I'm successful. Hey, Sarah, we'll see you a little bit later on the show.
You must do a lot of winning.
Hilarious, Nick. Hilarious. Are the Cowboys loading up for a Super Bowl run? That's next on First Things First.